Hello, music enthusiasts of the internet. My name is Jared Greer from GreersEars.com, and today we are talking about Anderson .Paak. You might know him for his music, you might know him for his teeth, but either way, the Paak is back. He's just released his newest full-length LP, Ventura. So let's take a few minutes to talk about that. One of the things I noticed almost immediately about this album is that it had less features than Oxnard did, which in my opinion is a good thing. I'm not going to pretend that I didn't enjoy any of the features on Oxnard. Frankly, they were actually all pretty good. On Tints, we had Kendrick Lamar unravel this big, jaunty personality with this silky, smooth delivery. And then we have Q-Tip on Cheers, and the intimacy of his lyrics and the intricacy of his flows in that verse both make that song pretty unforgettable. If you keep up with my blog, you know that that song was one of my top tracks of 2018. And J. Cole's feature in Trippy wasn't terrible either. In fact, I think Cole did some of the best features of his career in 2018. But even though I enjoyed most of the features on the album, the fact that there were so many kind of detracted from my overall experience with the record. I was just really anticipating Oxnard for a really long time, and I just wanted to hear more Paak. On Ventura, the features are just as tasteful, but a bit more sparse, and it's a huge breath of fresh air. Dr. Dre also played a big part in producing Oxnard, which is definitely a big reason it was more rap-centric than Malibu was. And while I thought that record was really consistent, and his transition into straight-up rap was a great testament to his versatility, it was pretty exciting and pretty refreshing to hear Paak just go back to his roots on this one. He does rap occasionally throughout the record, but it's not a rap album. Ventura is R&B, it's neo-soul, it's synth funk, it's new disco, and it's awesome. Come Home starts the album on a really strong note with some rumbling drum fills, some sporadic flutes, and rattling tambourines, and these lush vocal harmonies, and a warm, fat, infectious bass line that just slides right into the groove of the song. And Andre 3000's feature in this song does not disappoint. He uses the typical Andre feature formula, and as usual, it works. He has these incredibly complex, almost convoluted flows. He has these dense, elaborate rhyme schemes that somehow manage to remain coherent. Overall, it's a great album opener. A lot of us had already heard Make It Better. That was the second single that Anderson released for the album. And I love that song. It's got some bright, clean jazz guitar. It has these warm, glimmering electric piano chords. It has these cozy and fuzzy strings. Smokey Robinson is featured on this track, and it's really redolent of that 60s soul pop era that he was such a big part of. Even though all he really contributes is background vocals, I still thought this feature was really meaningful and really important. I mean, Smokey and Anderson's vocals do blend really well together, but even more than that, Smokey's feature is just sort of a stamp of approval. It's like one legend passing the torch to a new generation, and it just feels like a really special moment to me. Reachin' Too Much is one of the more disco-influenced tracks on the album. It has a great danceable rhythm, but I think it unfortunately suffers from its length. There are some progressions in the song. For example, a minute and a half in, there's this breakdown and beat change of sorts. But after that, it just sort of drags on for the next 4 minutes until the 30-second scatting outro. I do genuinely enjoy all the different parts of the song, but I think if it was shortened or condensed a little more, it could have packed more of a punch. But let me tell you, Winner's Circle is freaking amazing. This is one of my favorite cuts from the album. It falls more along the lines of neo soul or future soul. It actually reminded me a lot of Hiatus Kaiyote, which is one of my favorite bands. It sounded like it could have been a song off the album Talk Tomahawk. Once again, you have these really elegant, welcoming jazz chords being played on an electric piano, and that's mixed in with some fun little vocal runs from Duran Bernard and Norel. About halfway through, the song breaks down and you get this funky slap bass rhythm that Paak starts rapping over, and it all just works together really well. Good Heels was a pleasant track, but in my opinion, it was one of the more underwhelming songs on the album. But with a 1 minute and 38-second runtime, I guess it serves as more of a interlude than a song anyways. Although I actually feel pretty similar about the song Jet Black. It's not a bad track by any means, but it's not one of those songs that'll keep me coming back to it. Yada Yada is a bit more relaxed, but I still love the instrumental. It has this really bubbly bass line and some great piano chops. And there's also this little riff about 30 seconds in, and I can't tell if it's a sample or if it's just a synth, but it sounds almost like 8-bit, and I absolutely love it. And Paak's vocal performance is also really solid, really fluid on here as well. King James was the first single we got from the album, and I liked it from the start, but it actually grows on me more and more every time I listen to it. It's got a great groove, it's got some nice sultry saxophone soloing, but it's also just really impassioned lyrically. It's politically charged. Paak talks about the grief and the pain of losing loved ones to police brutality. He praises people like LeBron James who use their prestige, who use their celebrity and their platform to make a difference and give back to their community. And he basically encourages everybody to follow LeBron's example by showing love to others and standing up for what's right. He just really wears his heart on his sleeve in this track, and it's really admirable. On the song Chosen One, we have Paak literally making MF Doom references over a funky, flanging bass groove. I mean, what more could you want? The song Twilight has a lot of house-influenced percussion. It's built on this throbbing 120 BPM rhythm. It's fun, it's danceable, it's decorated with some nice vocal melodies and some horn sections. And the album's closer, What Can We Do, is the one that Nate Dogg is featured on. And Paak and Nate Dogg just have awesome chemistry in this song. Most of the track, they're just going back and forth over this unique instrumental with like an electric guitar and a sitar. And actually, between the sitar and the flutes and some of the percussion used throughout this LP, Ventura definitely has a tinge of Eastern influence on it. Overall, I think this record is aesthetically consistent. The production, the instrumentation, it's all really enjoyable. Every song feels like it belongs on the project. The features are great. It's not overly ambitious. I mean, he plays it pretty safe, but I'm not necessarily complaining about that because I think Anderson does his best when he's playing to his strengths. Like I said, there were a couple tracks that didn't necessarily jump out at me, but on the other hand, this album had some of my favorite Anderson .Paak songs of all time. I haven't made up my mind on how this album compares to Malibu just yet, but I would definitely say I prefer this to Oxnard. And while it's not a perfect project, it is an awesome installment in Anderson .Paak's discography. So with all of that being said, I'm going to have to give this album an 85 out of 100. It's really solid. I'm liking what I'm hearing, and that is what my ears think of that.